We're planning out 2024 using index cards. The nice thing about using index cards in your plan is that you can literally start at any point at any time of the year. So I'm saying 2024, it's November now, but you could be starting this in March of 2024, in the middle of 2024. It's a very forgiving system in that sense where you're actually using everything that I'm going to be talking about here. No wasted pages. And in that sense, you don't even have to wait for 2024. You can get started now. Let's talk about some of the things that you need, because I have an Etsy shop that sells all of these items pre-made and ready to go in a PDF format where you download it, you print it out, and you cut it, and you can literally get started right away. There's also an option to edit it using Canva. So there's the two products are Just Get Started and just the date dividers, including the blanks. So that's a way that you don't even need index cards. You can print it off and get started. It's affordable when you compare it to purchasing a planner. The other option is that you can completely DIY everything by using an index card. And so if you have index cards at home, you can get started now or order them, purchase them, whatever you need to do. So there's a couple options for you to get started. So you need the paper items, the tangible tactile thing. And then on top of that, you're going to need scissors. If you're doing it my way, where you're just getting started using printer paper, you're going to need scissors because there's going to be a lot of cutting. Grab a movie, a podcast, have coffee with someone, do something that will keep your mind occupied because you're going to have quite a few index cards to cut out. For me, I just use like your typical printer paper that I bought off of Amazon, but you can also use like a thicker cardstock to make it more index card feeling, and that way you could use your typical grocery store index card along with the Just Date dividers and it'll all feel similar. So with that being said, if you are using index cards, you need your typical index card, whether it be a 3x5 or 4x6, and you're going to need dividers. That's one of the most important parts of this system, is that there are dividers for dates, months, and some miscellaneous tabs as well that keeps everything organized for you. If you're printing and you're using my products, I print in color. So there's a few files that you can use, so you can go to a service, whether it's a library or like your UPS store, and get them printed out. So there's both color and black and white files, and that way it just saves you money. But just know that you do have to print in color. However, I've had people that have purchased the products and you still print in black and white and use a highlighter after the fact. With that being said, there is some color coding to the system, so you're going to need highlighters. You're going to need quite a number of colors because everything is color coded. Did I mention that this is a masterclass on creating this index card system? I wanted something that is just one-stop shop for teaching you how to get this set up. So you're going to need a calendar, access to 2024 holidays. So there's a little bit of prep here, but you're literally planning your entire 2024. Because there's a little bit of prep, I just want to encourage you and motivate you that this is something that actually works, because there is so much setup, at least a couple hours worth of setup to get this going. I want you to know that it's something that you use all year round. You're not necessarily creating this every month. Again, you've put all the work in and you're off to the races. Having something that is physical, that I can touch and that I shuffle, and that is just something about using multiple senses, I really appreciate. And most importantly, because it's a physical product, it's a physical planner, I'm away from my phone. I don't use the phone, which often brings its own little level of... Another thing with that feeling of just like, you know, overwhelm almost, is that the card system forces me to focus. And so it's not all of these things I have to do, you know, I'm behind or I have a long to-do list. The card system forces me to say, I'm going to do these things on this day and this on that day, where I'm planning ahead versus having this long to-do list at all times. That is just being added to. Another part of the card system is that you will accomplish your goals. And I say this as my second 12-week year, because that's what we're going to talk about at the end of the video. Is the first part is managing your home, because I feel like in order for you to accomplish your goals or do bigger things, you need to feel at peace in your environment. And so the first part of this system is setting up a home management system. The second part is setting up a goals management system using the same card deck. I just started doing this piece of it in July of 2023. So this is only my second round of doing it. I'm focusing on becoming a better YouTuber this round. The last round was more or so on Etsy. Now, I know I could be doing bigger and better things, and this channel could be much bigger than it is, but the thing is that up until focusing on the goals and using the card system, I did nothing. So this has been really, really helpful. So you'll accomplish your goals because it's forcing you to focus on that one thing that it is that you're trying to achieve. It's setting it up in that 12-week system, and we'll talk about that at the end of the video. Now let's get started. The first part is that you really need to focus on your values and priorities and have a very realistic view of what your current environment is. Knowing what your priorities are is going to help you when it comes to organizing your planner and deciding when you're going to do certain tasks. Also prioritizing certain tasks over others. So you might be removing some task cards that I might have in my card deck. You might add in new ones too. So knowing what your priorities are and your values, whether it's, focusing on family, if it's focusing on writing, whatever it is. One of the exercises I like to use is within the Passion Planner system. There's free downloads on their website, so you don't have to purchase the planner in order to participate in this, but it allows you to look at the vision for your life that you'd like to see happen. And of course that's going to change, but there's the 3-month, I believe there's like 6-month, a year, 3 years, I forget exactly the time increments, but it's allow you to visualize what your life you'd like it to look like, and then you create those action steps and habits based off of that reality. From there, if you're doing that specific exercise, I'll include the link below too. You're going to pick a game changer, which again, I'll talk about with that 12-week year planner system, and that game changer is going to be used there. So based off of all the work that you've done, then you create a vision board card. I just made a short about how to set that up using Canva and printing it out and making it look really nice and tidy and clean and fun to look at every day. Or you could just create a collage on your index card, or even write out a statement, do a little doodle. There's so much creativity within this system that you can incorporate. Along with the vision board card, I would include an affirmation card, which is just a way that, again, centers you every day that you're able to read it. Then you'll set up your weekly flow and dinner plan. It's 2 separate cards. The weekly flow card is going to say on Sundays, this is the overall arching theme of the day. Mondays, this is the theme of the day. Make it as broad as you can, so you're not saying on Mondays, I'm going to clean X, Y, and Z. It's more like on Mondays are for relaxing, or Mondays are, like having big themes. I can only think of what I set up at the moment, but for my Monday, it's about setting the emotional tone. So I try and make sure that I'm focused on not necessarily creating like a stressful environment in the morning that's go, go, go. I try to make sure that everything that of the one day out of the entire week, that's the day that I'm really on top of things. So I just make sure that everybody's chill. With that, there's also implications about what that means as far as my actions go through the day. And then I build my schedule based off of that. So you can see just a few of the things that I've set up, but you're creating a weekly rhythm. The dinner plan is in the same idea. So based off of your rhythm, you're going to then be able to decide what it is that you're going to want to serve. So on Fridays, for me, it's all about indulging, creating fresh air, going into the weekend feeling good. I do a pizza night, so I'm not stressing over creating a recipe. It's often the same like base foundation for the pizza, and then putting fun toppings and whatever's left over in my fridge. So again, just like going into the weekend nice and breezy and easy. And it's also fun and good, and the entire family likes it. I like having those 2 cards that I'm looking at every day too, that's just reminding me of what it is that I have set up. So again, we're into that home management system, and this is inspired by Sidetracked Home Executives. It's a book that was made, I think, early 1980s, late 1970s. So there's been decades of women who have successfully used this system. So this is a proven productivity system. This isn't like one woman's take on it. This is something that people have been using for decades. So now that you have your flow, you're then going to create those daily cards. Now in my system, I have them all done for you, so you don't have to worry about it. But for you, if you want to customize them, you can customize them in Canva. Also, of course, if you're making your own index cards, you might want to create a list of items that you'd like to make sure that you do every day, and then add them to the cards. So for example, this one is unload dishwasher. I have make bed, wipe down bathrooms. And so to give you the rundown on the layout of the card, this is over on the top left hand side. You're going to see the frequency. So how often are you doing this card? On the right hand side, you're going to see how long it's going to take. This is the most important part of the system, is timing. It's not fun, but if you time your workouts and you track everything you do as far as your physical health, why not track what you're doing around your home as well and how you're managing your time outside of those activities. Take a week or two and time certain actions and see how long they take you, because you will be surprised. I've said multiple times on this channel, I often overestimate how long things will take me when it comes to actions I don't like to do, and I'll underestimate the things that I actually enjoy doing. So having a realistic view on time is just really helpful. You'll record how long it takes you there. And again, you could just get started based off of like an estimate of what you have and then adjust as you go. I also have a short description, and this is nice because the cards are easily, you can delegate them. You can pass them off to kids, a partner, whoever's in your household, and share the responsibilities. So you're gonna fill out all of your action cards for the day. Color code them in yellow or whatever color you choose. This yellow is from Sidetracked Home Executives. It's been effective. I also added a little graphic onto them so that there's a cute doodle that's, again, like a visual just cue for me, so I don't even have to read it. I just see a little dishwasher and I'm off to the races. If you're creating this yourself by hand on an index card, create a cute little doodle. So then you're going to set up your weekly cards. The weekly cards are things that you do every week. So that's things like clean the bathroom or organize and clean toys. This was a big one for me when we had a playroom. Every week you'd go in there and just make sure that like it's reset, not just to tidy, but like things are organized. So weekly cards, the other thing that you can do with weekly and daily is set for frequency every other week. So I have that as my visual cue. Same setup for the daily cards, frequency, how long it takes, the title or the heading of the action you're doing, and then a short description below. These are color coded in blue, same as the every other. So some other things that you could include are washing your floors. The frequency might be different for you. Freshening up your bed. And then there's things like going to the library. So you've created your weekly cards, your daily cards, and then before you get into the monthly, seasonal, and annual cards, you're going to work on your personal cards. Personal are in pink. You could just make these yellow, blue, gray, the same cards as the frequency ones, but I do really like the idea. I'm pretty sure Sidetracked Home Executives are the ones that said to color code personal in different shades or different colors. I do really like this because it says do not skip. This is important to you. And I could go on like a whole lecture about filling your cup and all that fun stuff. As a reminder to myself to color code your personal cards in pink. I have personal ones. This is one of my favorite ones. It's a monthly review, creating a set of questions for yourself, whether you use my questions or your own, that ground you in reality. Like looking back, you might have an idea of how your month was spent, but it forces you to go through and look at it for what it really was. There's also the daily personal cards. This one is one that I just redid recently for myself, where it's a silence, affirmation, visualize, exercise, rescribe. This is part of Miracle Morning Savers. It's just a good overview of a healthy morning routine. Things like that. There's like manicure and pedicure I give myself, catching up with a mentor. These are things that benefit you personally and not necessarily the household at large. Obviously, it's going to benefit them, but you feeling good. Then you get into your monthly or the gray color coded cards. Oh, I love this one. This is an idea that I learned from Sidetracked Home Executives, the family council, and you can do this with whoever lives in your home, but once a month you just kind of connect on certain items. People who are part of the Mormon faith, this is part of their structure as far as building a healthy family, and so I got a lot of ideas for our family council from them. But there's other actions that you don't really think of that without this system I might let go, or I might do, months away. If you look at your vacuum manual, there's probably a good chance that you're supposed to be cleaning your vacuum every month, whether it's just cleaning the filter or doing a full clean. So there's certain cards like that, like cleaning the oven inside and out. I would usually put that off and off and off, and then it's such a bigger job because you didn't do it when you were supposed to do it, and so this just makes life easier. And then you create seasonal cards. So these are actions that you're doing within the season, a few times a year, or maybe literally with the seasons. I have cards that are appointment cards. This is where the seasonal pieces and the annual come in handy. for example, teeth cleaning. I have all of the information here all set up so that when you call to make your appointment or you go online, you have everything all set. They've been really helpful for us, especially since we're changing providers. Along with teeth cleaning, there's hair appointments, but there's also things around the home like cleaning light fixtures and that type of thing that are more seasonal. Annual, there's like doing your taxes, or that could be quarterly as well, I guess, or doing car registration. That was one that even if they would send it to me in the mail, I would forget. So it helps you as just a cue, this is coming up, and I really like that card. See, for vision, if you're setting up your own appointment cards, it has the vision checkup for, so if you have multiple people within the family that you're managing, there's also the doctor name, phone number, insurance numbers, and previous appointments. For insurance numbers, just make sure that you have all those different numbers for all the things that you need. I've found multiple times this year when I'm going into this new provider that I need things like the group number, and then there was also like a group something else number that I had never heard of, and it wasn't on my card. So it's just a nice way to make sure you have all of that together. There's the meals and DIY card. So again, all of this was in the Just Get Started kit, but you could create your own meal card. I've printed out, I have at least 5 of these to get started, and that way you have a meal each day. There are things that I've made for years, like the French bread, the easy French bread recipe. I make it every week. I don't retain what it is that I put in it and how long I'm supposed to bake it and at what temperature. So on the meal card, if you're creating your own, have the source that you got the recipe from, because you might want to reference it later. Have the oven temperature and cook time. The cook time especially, not like the overall time it'll take you, but the cook time. Have all of that in a highlighted place so that it cues you and you're not searching for it. It just makes life a little bit easier. Also, if you're sharing the responsibility with other people, having the type of recipe is really helpful too. So if there's certain people that are gluten-free or keto or whatever diet is that you're trying to focus on, it just helps them. So you'll fill out recipe cards, create and gather a few of your favorite recipes and get those filled out. And then the DIY card. This is a newer card that I made, and this is for, because there's certain things that I use that I DIY for cleaning supplies around our boat that I don't remember. And so things like the linen spray, I'm able to then, instead of searching on the blog every time, I have it on a card and I remember that way how to make the linen spray. So having cards is really helpful because you're going to organize these just like you did your daily, weekly, and monthly, etc. cards. So now you have all your action cards done. You're going to set up your monthly cards through 2024. This is something that is a little different than Sidetracked Home Executives because my system that I use is highly transportable because it's just like my planner. I want to be able to throw it in my backpack and take it to appointments or waiting for my kids' sports, whatever it is, where I have free moments that I shouldn't be on my phone. I can be in my planner system, touching and feeling these cards, adding new things. And so having a monthly card where I'm able to reference it, a lot of these things, especially like weekly, are done every week on a Monday. So I'm able to then look at the date dividers and know what dates are the Monday. So you have your Monday card here. On the right-hand side, what I've started to do is list all of the holidays that are coming up, whether it's birthdays or like fun holidays or official holidays, things that are happening in the school, and that way I have a quick reference there as well. You can highlight anything, you can add in your weeks that are with the 12-week year over on the left-hand side, but you have all of these monthly cards. You're going to set one up for each month of 2024 or your 12 months that are coming up, and that way you have everything nice and prepared. And then you'll set up your monthly dividers. So now we're getting into the organization part of this. Set up, you've got 12 dividers here for each month of the year. I have a dot grid on here so I'm able to take those notes when it comes to my monthly reviews. Other ways that I've used these monthly dividers to make sure that things are still like everything within this card deck I want to have a purpose. So the monthly dividers I've used for tracking items before. I've done like doodles, I have added holidays here before. And so there's a lot of, like I said before, there's a lot of room for creativity. So you've got your monthly dividers then, one for each month, and then you're going to create your daily date dividers. Mine are a little different again because I have the month, I have a space for the year, and then I have space for a memory or a moment within the day that you want to remember. You can use this for tracking steps, you can use it for tracking sales, you can use it for tracking any other type of goal, but I really like the memory piece because I'm using it as a home management system. So if you're using it for the artist's way, doing type of, tracking and storage for that, you can modify it. Again, being creative. If you're using it for business, you can be creative. But for me, because it's home management, I have the memories. So January, it's every time that this divider is going to land in front of January, I am going to write the moment for the 1st of January 2023. When this is in front of June, it'll be June 1st, 2023 or 2024 in the memory that I've created then. I've done this now for one cycle, 1 year, and it's awesome. I did a whole video about how I created anniversaries for myself of some of the dates, and then I've added to the Google Calendar, and each year I'll know like when we did certain things. So you've got your date dividers. So now you're going to create other dividers. So I have, like I said, because this is transportable for me and that it's a system that's on the go, and I don't have it physically resting on any space at any, like all the time, like with a card box, which you could do. But again, like I just want to be able to use this. I have blank cards with me. I have a dot grid, I have a graph, and then I have lined and then blank cards as well. Because of that, I have a blanks divider. So you can create other miscellaneous dividers. This is all within the Just Date Dividers or Just Get Started card deck. On top of that, I have dividers for meals. So all of those meal cards are going to go in front of the meal divider until I schedule it into the meal plan, and then at that time it'll go in front of the date that I need it to be used. Other ones are storage. There's a storage system. I'm not going to get into that now because it's like you don't have to use it to get started with the index card plan system. It's just really nice to have. There's also a house divider where you're doing larger house renovation projects, and all those projects can sit in front of this divider until at which time you want to schedule it in. Again, that was super effective. We renovated our house using that. There's a goals divider. That's another one you can use where you're when you get an idea for something you want to do or achieve, you can rest it in front of that divider until at that time you want to take care of it. And there's also a learning divider, which you can use the index cards for really what is most popular for using them for memorizing things. So if you're, for example, trying to learn points of sale, you can have flashcards for that, and then when you have free time, pull out your flashcards and review it. If you're trying to learn Spanish, again, pull out the flashcards that you have on you because you bring your index card planner system wherever you go, and then you can do it, or schedule them throughout the month so each day you have a new flashcard that you're working on. So cool. I know, this system is just so cool. Like I just love how flexible and creative it is. I get messages all the time from people who are using it with pictures, and it's just so cool to see what everyone does with it. So now, this is where the fun comes in. You have all these cards, right? And you have, my stack also has the cards that I've been using for organizing my content for this video, but you have your card deck, right? You have all the cards that you just made. Now you need to organize the cards and get going with it. So what you'll do first is use your weekly flow and monthly cards. So have those two out to get started so you know you have a quick reference. Start with your daily cards. Make it really easy. Think about the flow of your day and try and put the daily cards in order of when you want to do the action. Of course, I don't always follow my daily flow that I like to do, but it's just a good foundation to start your day off with. So first, organize your day cards. If you have every other day, set those up as well, and then schedule that or place those cards in front of maybe tomorrow's date divider. That way you can get started right away. Then go into your weekly cards. This is where that weekly flow card is going to be really helpful because you'll know on Tuesdays you're going to do certain things. On Wednesdays you're going to do certain things. I have it set up so that on Wednesdays are my administrative days. So they're all the bookkeeping weekly cards, meal planning weekly cards, anything where I'm sitting down and communicating, that's on Wednesdays. On Thursdays, for example, I have more project-based type cards where I'm doing things that are every other week, or the weekly ones that are maybe like I do in sections. For example, like cleaning out lockers, airing things out are on Thursdays. Fridays are for, again, clearing the air, so I'm dusting. So you'll be able to figure that out, get started with something, and then you'll adjust as you go, especially as per season, you might do a little reset of when you're going to do things. But again, that's not changing your weekly flow card. Your weekly flow card is more than just, you know, football is on Friday night. The feeling that you want to have on each day as it goes through. So on Sundays, for example, you might have basketball on Sundays. But as a whole and in general, as a big life theme, on Sundays, you really want to be able to just spend time with family, relax, and get ready for the week ahead. So you'll set that up. For the month, what you're doing when you're looking at 2024, you're starting yourself off. So you're not having 12 different, or what is it? 4 times 12. You're not having all of those cards of that one action. When you complete the action, it gets shuffled to the next week, not the next day. If you don't complete it, it gets shuffled to the next week. If you, for some reason, don't complete it, you can play a game with yourself that Sidetracked Home Executives suggests, is doing a like 3-strike type of system where if you skip it on the 3rd time, you have to do it, and you can write skipped at the bottom. The system's really forgiving. Like I said, it's very flexible. So it's just that one card and it's getting shuffled. So what you're doing is you're prepping your next 2 weeks with those weekly cards. That's for the weekly and the every other week. And like I said, that's going to change as you go. So if you find yourself too busy on Fridays, push it off onto Monday. Also, try not to clean every day. Give yourself some like wiggle room for some free time, but also try not to put all of your cleaning items on one day. I know. I promise it'll get easier. You just have to start and see what works for you. Then once you have your daily and weekly items set, you'll go into the monthly and seasonal cards, and that's where things get a little tricky. You have to pay close attention to days that you have thicker stack of cards organized in front of that date, and make sure that those seasonal and monthly tasks aren't going into a day that you're already busy cleaning stuff. When you have your seasonal cards and you're trying to place them, the other thing is that because they're month and seasonal, they're not necessarily all going to be in front of dates. So if there isn't a date there, then you'll just go ahead and place it in front of the month that you intend to do it at the end of each month when you get that important dates and organize your planner type card, whatever it is that you choose to title it. Then you'll go ahead and make sure those task cards are placed in front of the correct date. Once you have all of those tasks taken care of, you can start looking into meal plans. I have a meal plan card. You can create one yourself as well, where each day you're looking at the different meals that you have to get started. And this is something that you'll put in front of each day as well. That'll get shuffled. That'll just cue your mind and say, oh, this day I'm going to do this. Some days, like I've said with the holiday stuff, some days I plan on like baking cookies and then I forget. So it's just a nice cue that reminds you that this is what's coming up, not only for today, but later in the week. And then when I go grocery shopping, I then transfer everything on the meal plan list to the back of the card, and I just take it with me as I go. You can set up the meal plans then, and then organize the recipe cards in front of the dates that you plan to have those meals ready for you. If you're not using the meal plan or the meal recipe cards, just file them in front of the meal divider. So now we get into the fun stuff. We've managed our home and we feel at peace in the environment that we're in, and now we get into the planner card system. So this is a free download that you can grab, download, print it off, cut it out, and get started with right away. The planner card deck is part of the 12-week year, and that is a book that I'll include the link below that gives you that method where you're planning out goals based off of a 12-week time span versus 12 months. It works really well in this card system because it is a short amount of time, and then it makes you focus on those items. The 12-week year, the book, is very similar to the Passion Planner and how it's set up. The Passion Planner is just a little less corporate speak, whereas the 12-week year really is more focused on like a sales position or someone. It just gives that corporate vibe, but I still really like it. So you're going to go ahead and then pick when you want your year to start. So like I said, this planner system you can use at any point during the year and get started because you're creating your own 12-week year then. For me, I'm going to try and do 3 years in 2024. My first 12-week year is going to kick off on January 14th and it's going to go until April 6th. I have picked out a goal-ish. I still haven't really focused on trying to figure out like how to be specific and clear because I'm still in this current 12-week year, but that gives me from December 9th up until mid-January to really decide what I'm going to do. So find out when it is that you want to start your year and then pick your game changer. That's what Passion Planner calls it. Instead of a goal, it's a game changer. It's an item that is going to get you just a little bit closer to that vision that you have for yourself, whether it's the 3-month vision or all the way out to the 1 year. Then once you have your game changer, you're going to map out all the actions that you need to take within that 12-week system or that 12-week year and decide what's going to help you reach that goal. The way that I do that is I put the mind map on the planner divider. So I'm writing pretty small on this. You could also get a piece of paper or a poster board, whatever it is that you'd like to make it big. Use a mind map, have a circle of that number 1 game changer goal that you're going to accomplish at the end of the 12-week year. 12-week year says that you can do 2 to 3. I tried to do 2 this time, and I really thrive when I'm focused on one specific thing that I want to see improved. I would pick 1 to get started with. You put it here, then mind map out. Once you have an idea of all the actions that you want to take, for me, I used for ideas of actions, I did like a Google search, and then I used ChatGPT for a strategy, and it gave me like a full out, this is what you do for week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And to be honest, I followed it pretty closely. I made some changes, but for the most part, I followed it, so you could always go that route. So every action that you've put on your mind map that you think makes sense in the grand scheme of things, you're going to then assign to its own card. Within the planner card deck, you have just blank dot grids. It is color-coded in gray. You're going to then color code each one based off of the action that you're taking to using a highlighter. I'm writing everything out because this is more of a how I do kind of thing. It's not one thing that's being repeated all the time, but you could definitely just use Canva as well. You're going to do the same system as far as the layout goes for the home management cards, where you're going to do the category on the left-hand side rather than frequency. It's going to be things like product, video. If you're trying to reach 20,000 steps every day, it could be like coffee chat or network for the type of walk you're going on. It could be hike. I don't know. You can get creative with it. So it's a category over here. How long it'll take you. If you don't know how long it'll take you, make sure that you have space here that you can kind of create a timesheet for yourself where you're tracking things. You're going to have the title and description, and leave some room for notes, because if you've seen any of what I've done with my planner card system, it turns into a little bit of a mess because I'm constantly taking notes and I have everything in one place. Then you'll highlight the color code of the category that you're working with. So you're creating all of these action cards ahead of time for your 12 weeks. So you have everything figured out in a plan up until, if you're in, for my case, up until April of 2024. Then once you have all of those action cards set up, you're going to start visualizing what you're doing and the path and seeing how it is. So you'll lay out all your action cards onto a table or onto the floor and then start organizing them into weeks. This is where it gets into more of the 12-week year method, traditional method. The weekly dividers, you're going to then create your scorecard. So I have in the planner card deck, you have 1 through 12. There's dot grid on there too. You have just the numbers 1 through 12 up on the top of the divider. You're going to create your weekly scorecard. So on the top, you're just going to affirm your goal. Say it in a statement that says that you've already done it and you're confident that you're going to be able to accomplish it. Then you're going to create on the left-hand side all the lead items. All those action items that you want to accomplish on week 1 are going to be listed out. On the right-hand side, you're going to create the lag score. So anything that you're measuring based off of, or the results off of what it is, what actions that you took to get there. For me, all my lead actions are like creating video 1, creating video 2, making sure I have 2 videos each week, and then doing learning items. So did you learn how to create effective SEO for videos, that type of thing. So I have those cards listed out. And then on the right hand side for my lag are things like the click-through rate, watch hour, that type of thing. So I'm able to measure to see if I'm actually improving or if I'm just doing busy work. So each week you're going to go ahead and do that. When I first started, set up, I think, up to like 3 weeks, just so I could get a feel for if this is something that's actually going to work, or maybe I'm going to make a change. At 6 weeks, what I did was then create the next 6 weeks. Each time I've done the 12-week year, I've had that like 6-week feeling. I like at least having all the action cards all set up ahead of time, just so that you know what it is that you need to be doing that week. And then as you get into the week, if you need to change it, you can always move them around and then create your scorecard after the fact. The scorecard really is just measuring to see if those actions are effective or not. They're not your to-do list. They're just a way for you to gauge if you want to make changes. So you don't necessarily have to do that right away. And then when you get into the weeks, you're going to be placing them in front of your daily date dividers. Pay attention to, again, like, because it is such a visual item, you can see the thickness of how many cards are in each date. Don't put a ton of like sitting at your desk type of things when you're supposed to be cleaning your house. So you have to be pretty strategic in that sense. And again, it's really nice to have that visual aspect to it where you can see right off the bat, oh, this isn't a good day for me. It'll also fit into your weekly flow. So if, for example, Wednesdays are the day that you're going to be sitting at your desk getting a lot of things done, maybe put some of that like blogging time in there. If walking is your goal, don't necessarily put the walking goals and the walking actions into the day that you're going to be sitting down. All of these weekly dividers then go in front of the dates that the week ends on. I'm a Sunday start, so all of these are going at the behind the Saturday dates. So if Saturday is on the 3rd, this is going to be filed behind the 3rd divider. Any of the weekly dividers that doesn't fit within those dates then get placed in front of their respective months that you're going to do that, along with the cards that are associated with those weekly actions. So now you have your card deck all set up. You have your home management system and your planner card system all set in there into one card deck. You're going to store it. I have a bag that I use. There's a mesh to it, so I can see into it. I can see the cards that are in there. Because the dividers are rounded, there's a little less as far as like the folding goes. I really recommend a bag over a box. You can have a box too. You can use a Ziploc bag. That's how I store cards that I'm not using, or like some of the things that I'm working on goes into a Ziploc. You can just as easily do that as well. But having it transportable is really helpful. That way it's a system that you're actually using and not just sitting in a pretty box in your kitchen. So now, if you finished all of that, you have your 2024 system all set up and ready to go. You know when you're going to do things, and it's just a matter of moving cards from one day to the next day or one week to the next week.